PortCorp stepping in the ticker tape maze. Portfolio tenancy making markets feel ablaze. Options on my mind, futures in my sights. Dollar bills pirouette under trading floor lights. Bad claws out, but I'm a matador slick. Charge through the charts, no candlestick tricks. Red or green seas, I'm the captain of the ship. Dividends dripping like a faucet with the drip. Bullish moves, yeah, stacking my gains. From the floor to the skies, breaking market chains. Wall Street Weekly, I'm the king of this beat. Investing with finesse, can't accept defeat. Indexes flex, NASDAQ doing push-ups. Dow winks at me, S&P pulls the hook up. Charts in my pocket, trends on my wrist. Time's money, gotta make it tick, tick, tick. Risk and reward, that's a tango I know. IPO ballroom, watch the revenue grow. Short sellers lurking, but I'm playing the long. Jazz notes and stock quotes that keep me strong. Margin calls whisper, but I don't fold. I'm alchemy, turning lead trades into gold. Bonds in my safe, ETFs on my sleeve. Profit so smooth, you wouldn't believe. This is Wall Street Weekly with BC PortCorp. Listen deeply, charts bleed reality. Green mixed with red, every ticker got a story, every dollar got a thread. Profits speak softly, losses scream loud. Bull markets whisper, but the bears roar proud. Investing's more than digits, it's decoding minds. Patterns in the chaos, treasures you can find. Eyes wide open, stay sharp and precise. Cause easy money's myth, truth comes with a price. Watch the money flow, truth hidden in disguise. Risk what you know, wealth favors the wise. If you ain't thinking deeper, then your pockets leak weekly. Get your mind right. Get your mind right. Why? Tune in to Wall Street Weekly. With BC PortCorp, we're making sense of the madness. Truth in the numbers, clarity from the vastness.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wall Street Weekly. I appreciate everyone tuning in on X. We've got 14 people over there, and we've got several people over here on the chats in YouTube. So let's see who we got in here. We got Jessica Luck first in the chats today. Hope you've been having a great day. Glad you're finally home and on your way to recovery after your hip incident there. I threw you a blue wrench, so there's that for you. That way you can do your thing, drop those links in the chat when they're needed. We got Alexandra G in here saying, let's go. Hope you've been having a great day over there in California. We got Trade Intuition sending all of his people over here after his show ended. I appreciate that, Trade Intuition. Hope you've been having a great day. And we got Tech Man in here. I appreciate you showing up. Glad you're dropping that. Hit the like. We appreciate that. We've got Melissa in here as well saying LFG, dropping all those emojis. I appreciate you showing up here. Hope you've been having a great day. Let's see. We got Lunar Beaches saying what the F? No work? Yeah, we got rained out. We've been having an absolutely terrible time at my job site. We got almost 3 inches of rain last week. We got half an inch today. So yeah, I've been trying to find a new job. I can't do it no more. We got David Gelfand in here. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're having a great day. We got Dave P in here as well. Glad to see you here. Hope you've been having a great day. Let's see. Where's my blue wrench? Says LBC. Well, let's get that added real quick. There you go. Threw a blue wrench your way, sir. Now you can do all of that moderator stuff as well. All the people over on X, I appreciate you tuning on in. If you have any stock requests here on YouTube or on X, go ahead, throw those in the chat for me, and we will get to those when we can. It'll be just a little bit. We do have some news to go over. We've got quite a bit that's been going on, both from the Trump side of things. We've got things from Jerome Powell. We've also got some earnings coming up here this evening on a very big company that people have been talking about quite a bit, so we'll go over that as well. If you got anything else you'd like to see besides the stocks that we'll probably talk about because of news articles, go ahead, throw those in the chat and we will get to those. I see JR sliding in here saying that BC, what's up? Oh, wasabi. It's a nice chill day for me. You know, we got rained out at work, so decided to go live here and do a little stock news, because you know I might not get the chance later this week, so getting that while I can. You know what I got pulled up in the background, just like on Good Morning Crypto, we got that stock heat map pulled up. We got Robert Mulligan. Is it 5:30 in the morning? No, sir. This is 1 o'clock my time or 2 p.m. Eastern. I like to go live, do Wall Street Weekly. That is a new venture that I've been doing on my channel. So let's get this ball rolling. Pull up that stock heat map. I'm going to play some music in the background because I've been making some music. Let me know if it's too loud and we will get that adjusted for you. Turn it down real quick. It was extra loud there. Let me know if that's too loud for you and we will get that adjusted. But let's dive into that stock heat map because we've been seeing it quite a bit going. He's bouncing off the walls. He looks so frisky this time of day. Yeah, I'm extremely caffeinated. I just slammed some more too. Extra ready to get it and dive on in. So we got Apple looking to the upside after a very red close on Friday, up 0.84% today. We've got Nvidia also in the green, quite in the green, as it's up 3.4%. We've got Berkshire Hathaway looking in the red, doing a little bit of a reversal off of what everything else is doing. Was up when everything was in the red on Friday. Looking in the red this today, 3.51%. We got Amazon also sitting in the red, down 0.85% right now. We've got Eli Lilly sitting in the green, up 0.41%. ExxonMobil also sitting in the red, down 2.15% so far. Tesla sitting in the green this morning, one, we've got PNG looking in that neutral range, just a little bit red, down 0.09. Microsoft sitting in the green, 2.57% towards the upside. Google also sitting in the green, 2.95%. And to wrap that on up, we got Meta sitting up 3.27%. We'll kind of take a look at a few other stocks a little bit later. But for now, let's dive into some of that news that we've been keeping our eye on. We went over some news this morning about a labor strike on one of the biggest airplane producers in the United States. I just felt like going on a bigger news binge though. So we've got another big newsworthy announcement. Palantir earnings tonight, they're up quite nicely, 525% towards the upside from their start. So quite an explosive move. Palantir Technologies' unstoppable rally this past year has yielded more than six-fold gains for investors and created monumental wealth for its founders and early employees. As the stock climbs to yet another all-time high, it has made Chief Technology Officer Shyam Sankar a billionaire, joining four Palantir co-founders whose stakes have also grown to 10 figures or more. The data analytics company shares hit all-time highs of 158.8 on July 25th, lifting Sankar's net worth to $1.3 billion according to Bloomberg's Billionaires Index. The firm is scheduled to report second quarter results Monday after market close, and that will be tonight. We will get those at 4:15ish, somewhere around that time. I'm not exactly sure on the exact minute it'll be released, but after market close we will get those earnings. I'll be watching that after market movement because we'll probably get a little bit of some upside movements. They've been getting some decent moves. So looks like I accidentally played the wrong song there. Let me get that. Oh, there we go. Didn't want some music with some words on it. And as LBC said, nailed it. I probably absolutely nailed that name, you know? I love when there's some names that I just absolutely can't pronounce. But we do our best around here, and if we nail it or if we don't, we just keep on plowing through. We've got Trump threatens higher tariff rates on India over Russian oil. And this is quite big news as they were trying to make a trade deal with India, a big manufacturer that competes with China. And we were hoping to get a little bit of a deal here. This might make that a little bit rougher. Trump threatening higher tariffs here as they bought some oil from Russia. The tariff rates on imports from India will rise substantially, President Donald Trump wrote on a Truth Social post Monday. India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then, for much of the oil purchased, selling it to the open market for a big profit, he added. India, which shipped some $87 billion worth of goods into the U.S. last year, and has trade surplus of nearly $46 billion, is currently facing 25% tariffs for most of its imports effective on August 7th. Trump said he was raising the India tariff rates to an unspecified amount because they don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. The president unveiled new tariff rates on imports from dozens of U.S. trade partners last week, ranging from the low 10% for the Falkland Islands and others as much as 41% for Syria. He had previously announced a 50% rate for products from Brazil, related in part to its prosecution of former President Jair Bolsonaro, who is facing trial for an alleged coup attempt. We will kind of have to see how this all unfolds. We've been doing quite a bit of negotiations with India to try to get a lucrative trade deal to supplement some of those Chinese goods that we've been buying. this looks like a little bit of a step in the wrong direction, but maybe throwing some tariffs on there, slapping them around a bit, using that strong arm of America might get them to kowtow, but I don't think we see that unfolding with a positive news anytime soon, especially since they've been making quite a bit of money off of that oil. Dang, barely read the chat yet. I was just about to do that. We've got Elephant sliding on in here. Hope you're having a great day. Trade Intuition saying good afternoon to everyone. We've got quite a bit of people in here. I appreciate all of you for tuning on in. Let's see who else we got in here. Dylan VA in here. Hope you're having a great day so far. We got anyone else in here? Fun fact, the stock market wiped out $1.1 trillion worth of value on Friday. It most definitely did. We saw quite a massive sell-off. Oh hi, can barely read, lol, my eyes barely open. I feel that one when I'm going live very early in the morning, especially since I got these miniature screens for everything. Makes it a little bit hard to read that chat. Let's see what we got on this last article we wanted to touch on, and then we'll take a look at those interest rate possibilities, because they've drastically increased. Even since Friday, we were sitting under an 80% chance, and now we're sitting above it, and we'll kind of have to see what data heads our way that might correlate with an actual interest rate cut. The Labor Department data upset may have sealed the deal for a federal interest rate cut. Scrolling on down here, as markets open this week, investors feel more confident about an incoming cut to the base rate, but that's about as far as their courage goes. July's payroll growth came in far below forecast, and May to June figures were revised down significantly, signaling a deeper job market weakness. As a result, investors now see an 87% chance of a September cut. The resignation of FOMC member Adriana Kugler also opens the door to a more dovish Fed shift. Until Friday, analysts had little confidence that the U.S. Federal Reserve was about to deliver an interest rate cut, but last week's revision to the labor market data have led many to bet in favor of Jerome Powell cutting at the next Federal Reserve meeting in September. On Friday, the Labor Department reported payrolls grew by just 73,000 last month, well below forecast of 100,000. It also revised down estimates for May and June by a cut of 258,000 jobs, with the average gain over the past 3 months now averaging only 35,000. The health of the labor market is in considerably worse shape than previously believed. Full employment is half of the Fed's dual mandate, so many now expect action in the form of cheaper money to spur economic activity to ensure jobs do not take a further hit. Analysts now expect the revision to at last deliver the cut the Oval Office has been pushing for. Maybe Trump had some data that we didn't know, because he also fired that chair of the labor statistics, and that was because they said they were fudging the job numbers. So maybe he had a little bit better of an idea of what was going on, and that's why I was pushing for some rate cuts. Or maybe it was because he actually wanted to borrow some money cheaper. We will definitely have to keep our eyes on this and all future data drops coming up to September, because if inflation is still increasing during that time, the Fed doesn't cut. We do have this 87% chance, as that article had talked about, 12.2% chance of no rate cut, but we'll have to see how that goes as data moves forward. If inflation ends up being extremely sticky, the Fed does not cut rates because they believe it is harder to manage inflation, and on the back end, it is a whole lot easier to then fix the jobs problem. So if you end up cutting rates to boost the job market while inflation is still increasing, then you really increase that inflation pressure, and then you'll see that inflation increase, and you'll have to battle that along with more jobs coming into the market. We'll also have to keep our eye on those wages, because just because there's more jobs does not mean those wages are competing with inflation, and that is also something to keep in mind. If more money is not getting spent, then that doesn't really help the economy any either. Let's see who we got in here. Kelefin saying, morning guys, just woke up in time for a stock update. Man, I need some coffee. Well, go and get yourself some coffee. We will be doing this for the next 40 minutes. Definitely have time to grab that coffee there. Let's see. Driving to stupid Walmart, says JR. Well, drive safe, sir. Don't text and drive. That isn't very safe. But lurk in the background until you get to Walmart. Don't risk yourself. Don't risk anyone else. All right, we did have a few things we wanted to take a look at. Let's dive into that first one. That was on the stock announcement that we went over in the news. It's going to be on Palantir. Let's get this chart pulled on up. Here we go. We got Palantir making those new all-time highs. It's been in quite the uptrend here. Let's get this zoomed on out to a higher term time frame so you can see that just a little bit better, and we will get a fib extension pulled up so that we can see where that price action is sitting and see what kind of other movements we might get off of some bullish earnings to this evening. Let's get that pulled up from the low to the high to the low here. Looks like we're sitting directly on top of that one line on our fib extension here. We got that platinum pocket holding up quite nicely before we got that move above our one line. Might have to zoom this on in, take a look at a shorter term time frame to see what other levels might get hit as we are outside of that fib extension. So let's get this 4 hour pulled on up here and get from a shorter time frame, see what we're looking at off of this golden pocket bounce to our highs, to our platinum pocket bounce here. Looks like we're outside of that one as well. Palantir doing absolutely crazy moves. So we'll go off of this platinum pocket bounce to this high, looking to this low, looking like that golden pocket is coming in as some resistance there. We will hide that, take a look at the macro, and then we'll zoom that on in. Let's get that one hidden. We'll take a look at this macro, see what we're looking at, and then dive it on in a little bit further, and then hop into some of those indices. Alexandra G, I appreciate you there dropping that link. More BC PortCorp. Join our growing community on the Discord at Piper Academy, where investors and traders help each other grow. And dropping that Piper Academy link in there. Let me drop that Piper Academy link in the X space for y'all. So if you're not a part of that Piper Academy, that's where you can get a little more BC PortCorp and the rest of the Piper Academy team as well. I'm not seeing any stock requests, but if we got any stock requests, go ahead, throw them in the chat for me and we will take a look at that. We do have this daily looking just a little bit toppy here, but you can definitely continue towards the upside, because let's take a look at this weekly and see where we're sitting there. A little bit toppy there as well, but this MACD line is remaining quite nicely above our indicator line. Let's get this zoomed in a little bit better so you can see that. We've got our MACD line remaining quite nicely above our indicator line, getting that last little bounce off of things as you're seeing that prime oscillator run a little bit sideways here. But this money flow is what we're going to continue to watch. Your volume has slowed up just a tiny bit, and that money flow continuing to stay in the green does bode for a little bit of some continued pump if we see that continue to bleed on over into these higher term time frames. Watching us hold this one line as some support at 151.23 is going to be something I will be watching for on Palantir. If those earnings come out a little bit short, might see a little bit of some pullback there. Holding that 151.23 would at least keep that very bullish here. That would continue to be a higher low. Would not want to see us break below our platinum pocket area. That's going to be coming in at 133. Let's get this zoomed on in, take a look at that daily, because that daily was extremely toppy as well. Seeing us run extremely sideways here as we continue to make a little upside movements. We're making those higher highs here, but making these lower highs on our MACD here, leading to a little bit of a divergence. We will kind of have to keep our eye on this money flow. As you can see here on the daily time frame, it is extremely green. We got a little bit of a slowdown on some volume in preparation for our data that is coming out this evening on those earnings, but you're starting to see volumes start to pick up just a little bit, but you're struggling to see us really break a whole lot higher above our all-time high here. Sitting at that 160.21 right now. We'll kind of have to see if this MACD line can break back above our indicator line with some positive money flow. It does look like it's slowing up just a tiny bit, but you could expect to see that get a nice move towards the upside if those earnings come out nicely. We do have this hourly also looking a little bit toppy here. Let's get that zoomed on in a little bit better on that MACD and get that view on the hourly a little bit better there. We've got that nice strong bounce off of our platinum pocket, moving a little bit sideways on top of our one line here, and that's why I would like to see this hold quite nicely. If we do see a little bit of some pullback action, it would close out our CME gap from right here on today's open, and we're seeing that prime oscillator look a little bit toppy as well, making some lower highs here as we made these higher highs. So would expect to see a bit of a little more divergences start to print if we get that next higher high and this prime oscillator continues to get that rollover. Money flow has slowed up quite a bit throughout this week as people are throughout the past week as people were waiting on those earnings. Volume is a little bit low here as well. Would just wait to see what happens in that aftermarket. 15-minute looking quite toppy here as well. So overall, toppy across the board on Palantir, but you know, Palantir has been overwhelmingly bullish. It is that technology company. It does have some government contracts, so it's got that going for it. Let's get that CME gap drawn out for you so you can see where that's coming on in, see where we might get a little bit of some bouncing action within that. Let's get that drawn out blue. You know, we color our CME gaps blue around here. All right, if we do dip into this CME gap, I would love to see this midline holding at 156.58. Holding the top side of a CME gap does bode as a little bit of some bullish price action. We did get that bounce off of the top side of it this morning, and then we continued to move a little bit sideways here. We did make that all-time high at the beginning of the day, and then we've moved sideways directly under that all-time high. That is going to be our barrier for some resistance that we're looking to break if we get that positive earnings. We're just waiting to see how that comes out this evening. I will let y'all know in the Piper Academy Discord what that looks like. 2x in one day, says Melissa. Yeah, doing my best to do a little bit on my channel so that we can keep things growing. Also with the Piper Academy, as we've been losing some people we might have an announcement coming out there soon. I've been working on some things in the background, so if you're not following the Piper Academy, you definitely should be. We might have an announcement heading your way. Appreciate the 30 people over on X that are watching in the background. If you got any stock requests, like Lunar Beaches has, he asked for Circle and Coin. We can take a look at those if you drop them in the chat. Let me get that added to the list. We got Circle and Coin, so let's get that added to the list. Any other stock requests? CCM in the chat, I appreciate you showing on up. He said he's working and lurking, so I appreciate you jumping on in the chat. Let me know you're here. We will do a few alt requests here in a stock requests here in a second. AEO, got that one on the list. Circle and Coin as well, got those added. Anything else in the chat, just throw it in the chat there. Let's hop over to a few of these TradFi assets we constantly keep our eye on here because they do gauge how that market moves. We talked about seeing that movement on the NASDAQ back into our CME gap, potentially seeing that bottom side be some resistance. We got that move directly into our CME gap. Nvidia can definitely take a look at that one. NVDA, let's see, TLT, and Alibaba, quite a great stock there. I bought that back in the COVID times, and that absolutely performed. I have not owned it since, but you know, we saw this little bit of a pullback after that all-time high on the NASDAQ, came to the top side of our this old CME gap here, got the bounce off of our midline, and then got that move into this CME gap that we are now looking to close as we are above the midline of it. You did see that prime oscillator get a little bit of some cool off here on the daily. Let's get that drawn on up here, getting that curvature to the downside as our money flow starts to come back in on that higher term time frame. You've got your volume a little bit low right now, not too unexpected after all of that news that we got last week. I see NNE as well. Can take a look at that one. NNE. And you've got that move back into the CME gap. We're looking to close it right now. Let's get this zoomed on in. Take a look at this hourly time frame. You can see we gapped into our gap this morning. We did talk about seeing a little bit of some upside coming into this week. You can see us sitting on top of the midline of our CME gap here to $20,097 being that midline, looking to at least get back up towards the upside here as your prime oscillator runs a little bit sideways. Your money flow your outflows are starting to slow up just a little bit, and we're waiting to see if we can get that increase of volume here. Taking a look at this 15-minute, I would look to see that 15-minute cool off with just a little bit more sideways action here. You've got that midline of the CME gap coming at 20,978, which I would like to see hold as some support. If you don't hold that as some support, coming back down to the bottom side of that CME gap would be something to keep your eye on. That's going to be $20,837. That's a strong area to keep and hold as some support. If we do see us continue towards the upside, seeing that 21,126 is going to be that area to close our CME gap, and then see if we can turn that into some support. With how toppy things are looking here across the board, that money flow still in the red here on the shorter term time frame, unless it switches to green here and bleeds over into that hourly. I would look at that $21,126 being a resistance area. Sorry, on mobile, can't tag anyone, says CCM. That's me most of the time. I can't tag anyone. Let's see. Did we get all those stock requests? I believe we did. Now we got Gandhi G in here. Hope you're having a great day. Glad you showed on up. Should be meeting with you this evening for an interview. Is that why I can't ever tag people, says Lunar Beaches Crypto? Yeah, I don't know why YouTube does that, but you can't tag anyone on mobile. We got the S&P 500 also making that move back into our CME gap. You saw that we gapped to our gap here, got that nice little move towards our midline, which we are moving on top of right now. Let me get that moved a little bit off of that actual candle body there. I think that is locked. Yes, it is. There we go. We got that nice strong move off of the midline of things, off the midline of that CME gap, looking to make a higher low here and continue towards the upside, waiting to see if this 15-minute can get some positive money flow here. Let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at that 4 hour. 4 hour is printing a little bit of a red candle here, as you do have your MACD running a little bit sideways. You've got that curvature on our prime oscillator with that reversal signal having flashed, but we're just waiting on some money flow as that volume has slowed up quite heavily. Was not too unexpected after all of that data that we got on Friday. We did talk about wanting to see a little bit of some upside back towards our CME gap. Well, we broke into that CME gap with some strength and a very big green candle here on that 4 hour. Taking a look at this hourly, you are seeing a little bit of some sideways momentum coming in as that prime oscillator also gets that sideways momentum, and you've got your MACD getting a little bit of some sideways momentum here as well. Just waiting to see if this money flow holds steady, bleeds over into that higher term time frame, so we can get that continued push up to the top side of our CME gap, coming at $6,338. If we don't see that money flow bleeding into some inflows here and some decent buying pressure, I would look to see that coming in as some resistance and at least hold the midline all over again. Let's get this zoomed on in. Take a look at that 15-minute. That's what we started on, and we'll get back to it here. You do have that prime oscillator getting a little bit of some curvature here, but that money flow still sitting in the red as your volume's starting to increase. So we're kind of waiting to see at least some big body green candles here to see that continued momentum to the upside. MACD getting that sideways momentum sounds kind of nasty. Yeah, a lot of these actually have been getting quite heavy sideways momentum here. You can see if you zoom it on in there, look at that. Oh, let me undo that. I did not mean to combine that prime oscillator and MACD there. That's quite an ugly view. You can see this getting that sideways momentum along with that indicator line running very close to in tandem there. So we'll kind of have to wait to see what kind of money flow comes our way to get that continued move towards the upside here. We got Wick's wife Fine 89 in the chat. Glad to see you here. Hope you're having a great day so far. Trade stocks with Webull. I appreciate you dropping that link in the chat there, Alexandra. It is my favorite place to trade stocks, and if you join with that link, you get some free stocks as well. So take a look at Webull. They have quite a few decent offers as well. Their plus gets you a match on your IRA. So that's what I do, since my company doesn't offer a retirement plan with a match. So that's how I get around that one. Caliphant, solving a year-long mystery. What's that one? Oh, the why you can't tag people. Yep, the more you know, the more you know. We've got our S&P 500 trying to get that move back up towards the top side of that CME gap, and that was $6,338. If we don't see that change in some money flow, expect to see that coming in as some resistance. Let's get over to that gold, because gold continuing to make that move towards the upside here, and We talked about a potential resistance area. That's where we started to see a little bit of some bouncing action after a pullback. Let's get a look at this. Oh, not the 2-day, the daily chart there. There you go. You've got your daily chart continuing with some upside momentum here on your MACD. Very, very close to breaking that indicator line to the top side as we just broke above our 0 line here. Prime oscillator getting that curvature back towards the upside as well, and money flow just starting to come in the positive here on the daily. We are starting to see those very big green candles, so that was not too unexpected to see that money flow really switching to the green. Your volume is a little bit low here, but you can very, very quickly see that change if you continue to see a little bit of some worry in the stocks. That's not what he meant, BC lol. That's not what. Okay. Now I got it. Was over my head. I was in the flow, Webull, no, we know bear. Yeah, I like that, LBC. Might have to talk to Webull and tell them they need to switch up their tagline there. Webull, we know bear. All right, we got that nice move above our 236 here. Saw us get above our resistance area. That was coming in at $3,373. That's where we got a little bit of some bouncing action here on your shorter term time frame. And now we are looking to get above the highs of this next range here. That's coming in about $3,393 there. Let's get that drawn on out. There we go. We rejected off of that level on the way to the downside. On our way to the 236, we would need to get above that level, hold that area, and then try to get above our macro area of some resistance. Let's get this zoomed on in. It is looking a little bit toppy here on the hourly, seeing that MACD remain below our indicator line, but your money flow also getting that roll over, barely holding those inflows. So we'll kind of have to watch this area to see if we can hold this up as some support here. You are making some lower highs. We've got those lower lows as well, but that is a little bit of a flagging out that we're seeing. So you could see that break towards the upside as you're getting that curvature back on the prime oscillator and the MACD as well, and your money flow getting some inflows on the shorter term time frame. So waiting for that nice little last bouncing off of the bottom side here, waiting to see if we can hold our resistance area and then support area and then move back up to that 3,393. We do have a little bit of an area to the downside that we could potentially watch for, coming in at 3,363. That's where we saw all of these rejections from, right here and right here and right here. So that's that area to really watch for on the bottom side if we can't hold this top side area at $3,372. Let's see what else. LBC knows that Alexandria knows that wifey know. Oh my goodness, what a tongue twister there. Barely got that one. Please subscribe to LBC on YouTube. Most definitely, if you're not following LBC on YouTube, you definitely should be. Gonna drop that link in the chat. For y'all over on X, if you're not following them, you definitely should be. All right, we had one more thing to really take a look at here. I was gonna take a look at crude oil. Crude oil did get that very strong rejection off of our golden pocket. We talked about that last week when we were taking a look at some crude oil. As you can see here, getting that very strong rejection on the daily with some big red bodied candles here, getting that curvature on our MACD back towards the downside, printing those smaller green candles here on the histogram. Your money flow about to that point of breaking towards some selling pressure here as you're getting that curvature on the prime oscillator as well. Volume holding steady, just meaning that we are seeing that increase of some selling pressure. We do have some levels down here that I would really like to see hold, and that's going to be that 64.66 Let's get that horizontal ray drawn out. That's where we got some bouncing action on the bottom side. Some nice candle wick touches. 64.71 is where that ended up hitting. That's where we're waiting to see if we can at least hold price action. If we don't hold that price action, we do have some areas a little bit lower that would be of some interest, coming in at about $60 on the dot there. We do have that platinum pocket being our very strong area of some support that would not like to see us get back down to. That's breaking below that $60 point on oil. Let's get this zoomed on in just a little bit. Take a look at that hourly. Hourly is still making those lower highs and some lower lows after that very strong golden pocket rejection here. We're waiting to see if we get that bouncing action off of 64.71 as that MACD and prime oscillator are looking a little bit bottomy here. We're getting that curvature back towards the top side on our money flow after some very strong outflows and selling pressure. Waiting to see if that ends up getting that switch around back at our support area. 15-minute running a little bit sideways here on the MACD, but breaking below that in that zero line. Prime oscillator also getting that cool off. Money flow barely in the green here, so we have seen a little bit of a slowdown on that selling pressure, where we're really waiting to see if that support area holds directly below us before we get that push towards the upside. All right, let's hop into some of those stock requests that we had. We had Circle, Coin, AEO, Nvidia, TLT, BABA, and NNE. So let's hop into Nvidia first, since it is at the top of our list here. Nvidia getting some very strong bouncing action after a nice little close of our gap, and continuing to see a little bit of some resistance back at these highs before we made that absolutely all-time high there. Let's get that zoomed on out to our higher term time frame. Zooming out a little bit further, taking a look at the daily, making those all-time highs on Nvidia over and over again. Let's get this one pulled on out, get a fib extension drawn on out. We might have to take a look at that on the weekly to really get that fib extension level there. Let's get that pulled on up. We've got the lows to our high up here, to our lows over here, above our one line here, looking like we're seeing some resistance coming in at that 184, and needing to at least hold this one line as some support there. We'll kind of have to see on a shorter term time frame what our micro fib extensions would be. Let's get this zoomed on in, take a look at that daily. Weekly is looking a little bit toppy here on the prime oscillator, but you could continue to see that move towards the upside with that positive money flow on that higher term time frame. Let's get this zoomed on in just a little bit, because we're seeing quite some crazy bouncing action after a nice rejection off of that golden pocket. We moved directly through the golden pocket and the platinum pocket, and now we got that nice little bouncing action off of our one line. So seeing that MACD run a little bit sideways here, waiting to see if this prime oscillator will get a little bit of some cool off with this sideways momentum on top of our one line here. We're seeing that all-time high coming in as that resistance area. Let's get that drawn on out. 183.50 is going to be that stronger resistance area to watch for as we're getting that continue to move towards the upside here. We did a gap, so we'll kind of have to see if we close this one and then come back and close that one. That would allow for a little bit of some cool off on the shorter term time frame. That prime oscillator is pointing to the downside, but that money flow is holding us up as it is overwhelmingly positive with a little bit of some low volume here. Not too unexpected, as I do expect people to make a decision as we get close to that all-time high and see if we can turn that into some support there. That next real upside target is going to be that 1618 coming in at $211. Nvidia making some absolute tears towards the upside there. Let's get this drawn on up. We got that gap on a gap here. We've closed our CME gap from here. Let's make sure we got that on point. We will color that in black so we know that's closed, and then you can kind of see that we gapped into our gap just like on the indices here. So if we do end up coming back down, are unable to hold the midline of that, seeing us close the gap below our gap would be something to watch for. Got a little bit of some play off of that gap. Actually, we broke into the midline of it, and now we're waiting to see if we come back down and close that later. Looking to potentially make a little bit of a lower high here. You do have some lower lows coming in, so we'll kind of have to wait and see. On the macro though, this is some higher lows. This could be our reversal of trend here. Let's see what we got. Not right now, Jesse. Maybe back in the future, but needed some flexibility in the schedule with the baby on the way. Oh, talking about leaving that Piper Academy, we were sad to see you go, but you know you're always welcome on Good Morning Crypto for a guest appearance. If you're up bright and early, hope to see you back eventually. Yep, I'll still be consistently on my channel until the baby comes, then things will get sticky. Oh, definitely. You know, babies have a way of throwing a wrench at life. Your schedule ends up being all around them instead of around what you like and enjoy. But, you know, that's a bundle of joy right there. And I think you're a little bit ahead on the ball game as you got some experience there. Let's see, when is baby due? I thought you were looking rather glowy, LBC. Yeah, let us know when that baby's due. I am not an emo. I just play one on TV, says LBC. Let's see. Oh, accidentally hit that space bar. We did not want to take a look at Berkshire Hathaway. We wanted to get Nvidia zoomed on in here. Take a look at that 15-minute. See what we're looking at there. Got a little bit of some sideways momentum coming in after this high at 179.80. Looking to potentially see that coming in as some resistance after that very big selling wick coming off of that. We are seeing that money flow barely breaking into the green here. Your volume holding steady, but seeing some nice selling pressure stepping on in. Might push us back towards the top side of the CME gap, coming in at 177.35. MACD getting that roll over here as it's looking to break to the bottom side of our indicator line and printing those very small green candles here. Looking like quite the slowdown, and a little bit of some exhaustion is heading our way here. Waiting to see if we can get at least above 179.92. That's where all of this resistance comes on in, and then if we can, making that into some support and getting back up to 183. If you don't and you see that coming in as some resistance, looking back to the top side of our CME gap at 177, and then maybe coming all the way back down to close the gap that we made when we moved into the gap there. That was Nvidia. Let's take a look at Circle. That was next one on the list, and then Coin was coming in directly after that. It's been a little bit since we've taken a look at some Circle, so let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at that daily time frame. Dang, we gapped underneath what was our support line there. We held that quite nicely for a little bit. You know, we talked about some buying levels on some Circle. That was going to be at this one line of our fib extension coming down to our platinum pocket there. This was our first buying zone. If we ended up breaking below that, looking for our next buying zone being that CME gap here at the golden pocket fib extension down to the 382 at 130. So looking like we are seeing this come in as a little bit of some resistance there. MACD finally showing something here on the daily as we finally have enough data, and prime oscillator extremely in the red here, but we don't have a whole lot of data to really go off of here as that is the daily. So let's zoom this on in. Take a look at that hourly there. Hourly hourly, getting that nice bounce off of our platinum pocket area on our fib extensions, waiting to see if we can get above our resistance area. We do have a bit of a gap that we made as we broke below our support line there, so let's get that one drawn out, see if that'll come in as a resistance area. You can see there we got those very strong candle body, equal candle bodies that rejected towards the downside off of our CME gap. So we got a few areas to get above here on circle if we really want to get back into some upside movements here. We are making those lower highs and lower lows. Looks like my music stopped there. Let's get that started back up. Clicking all those songs again. We had a bunch of music we made. Looks like we need to make a few more songs to really get that. All right, there we go. And shuffle it. There we go. Let's get that music on. We've got a few areas to really get back above if we want to see circle get that upside movement with some strength here. We got this first resistance line, that was our support line. It was a resistance line from back here. We held it as some support, got some very strong bouncing action off of it, and then we gapped below it extremely quick, saw that hard sell off with the rest of the market, and now we're trying to pull back above our platinum pocket on that fib extension there. Let's get this moved on over so you can see that MACD line and prime oscillator. It is getting that curvature back towards the upside, seeing a reversal signal flash after some oversold signals as well, and getting that curvature back up. But that money flow is going to be the big concern here because it is still in the red. So if we don't get back above that resistance area, turn it into some support, making our way back below our platinum pocket would be something to watch for, and seeing if that golden pocket will be that next area to really see some bouncing action. If we break into it, we've got that CME gap to keep our eye on. 15-minute here, looking a little bit toppy. As you're breaking towards the upside here, you're seeing that money flow get a little bit deeper in the red, so that selling pressure is really stepping on in. We got that big fair value gap to really contend with here on that 15-minute. Get that to the top side there. Let me zoom that in just a little bit so I can get it better. Coming in right underneath that platinum pocket. Let's get that colored as a fair value gap. We're rejecting off of the midline of that fair value gap from our 15-minute candle there. So looking like we might do a little bit more battle here within our fair value gap, seeing that hold at that platinum pocket, and $161 would be kind of what I'd watch for as we're rejecting off of the midline, seeing that money flow continue to come on out. That's a few bouncing areas to kind of watch for in the short-term time frame. Overall, I would really look for this CME gap coming at that golden pocket, $148 to $133. That's that big area I would look to close and see some buying pressure really stepping on in. We looked at coin this morning, so this one will be a whole lot quicker. Let's take a look at coin. We did see that giant sell-off was a CME gap of some sell-off. We opened extremely to the downside. Let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at that daily. You can see that quite a bit better there. We are printing some red candles still. We're holding up $310 quite nicely. That was that gap from over here, that midline that we held. So looking to at least get back up to the bottom side of our CME gap that we just printed on the downside here. Looking at $334 being our resistance area. We've got that strong support area coming in at $294.54. We'll kind of have to see what this money flow does here on the daily, because it's starting to get to that point where you could see it break into some outflows. Your prime oscillator is a little bottomy after this giant sell-off here, so a nice little discount might continue to see a little more discount head our way, as you're not seeing those reversals or oversold signals really start to flash on that daily. Your hourly is moving a little bit sideways here to try to cool those oscillators off. You to get that reversal signal and that prime oscillator getting that move back towards the upside, but it's not doing so. With some upside movements on that price action, you have a very local resistance area coming in at $326. Let's get that drawn out for you. That's going to be $325.81. Let's make that a short-term resistance line and see if we can get back above it to get our move back up towards our CME gap and 334. If not, seeing us come back down to 294.54 would be what I'd watch for. 15-minute also probably has that cool off as you're seeing that sideways momentum. Yep, MACD run a little bit sideways here, not too unexpected, as you're seeing these lows from here hold and that coming in as some resistance. Really getting some sideways momentum here, making a bit of an order block. Your money flow still in the red here, but really could see that switch back to some positive inflows down at that 294 if we don't hold the lows from back here at 310. So 310 is the area to hold on the bottom side, and 325.81 is the area to get above on the top side to get back towards our CME gap there. All right, let's take a look at AEO, see what we're looking at there. We do have time for the rest of the stock requests as well. I've got plenty of time today. AEO, American Eagle Outfitters. Should have known that one. Getting that strong move back towards the upside after all of that drama. Not big on the drama. You can save it for your mama, but nice strong moves, getting above our local resistance area, coming in at $13.20. Nice big gap there. We'll get that drawn out as well. This is coming from that candle body to that candle body, making a giant fair value gap as well. We'll kind of have to get that drawn out once we see tomorrow's open. Let's get this blue and blue so we know, and then we'll zoom this on out. Take a look at the weekly here so we can get that better idea of some fibs. We are holding our lows here at $9.37. That runs all the way from back here. Nice little support area. Now we're seeing some bouncing action off of the top side of nice solid sideways range. We've got some tops coming in. Let's see where that's coming at. Looking like $26, where we saw a little bit of some sideways action here, rejections off of, and then we got those strong rejections off of there as well. So let's get that drawn on out here. We'll just get it off of that one since that's cleaner. $26.28, and we'll get our fib level drawn on up. Let's see what we're looking at here on a fib retracement from the low to the high. Looking like that platinum pocket is our resistance area to get above. We did see us bounce off of that. Oh, looks like we're coming up to it right now. So money flow in the red here, waiting to see if we can get that switch back into some positive inflows. If you have some conviction about American Eagle, this is a decent buying opportunity right here. Would really like to see it get back above that platinum pocket, turn it into some support, and get that move back up towards the golden pocket there. Let's see what we're looking at here on our daily time frame. Big green candles here. MACD looking a little bit toppy. Prime oscillator getting that curvature back towards the upside, but doing so remaining in the red as your money flow stays in the red here on the daily. So we'll kind of have to watch that shorter term time frame money flow. Let's get this short term line drawn out. where we might potentially see some bouncing action off of. This was that local resistance when we got below that platinum pocket there. So $12.89 would be where I'd look for some bouncing action if we reject off of that platinum pocket there. Let's see what that 1 hour is looking like. 1 hour looking quite nice for some continuation. Money flow extremely in the green here. You're getting a bit of some overbought signals having flash. No reversal signal just yet. Getting that curve over on our prime oscillator, but it's doing so and remaining in the green. So we will have to watch that money flow. We are breaking towards that platinum pocket right now. We'll kind of have to see if that comes in as a resistance area, continue to really hit those oversold signals as we're breaking towards it. That's coming in at $13.58, 54 cents. That's that area to watch for some resistance. Come back down, retest on our old resistance area at $12.89, and then try to get back above our lows that we held before the platinum pocket. That's coming in at $14.07. So reject off of that platinum pocket, turn this into some support, make that move back above that platinum pocket. We got that 1408 as some resistance. All right, TLT. Let's take a look at that one, see what we're looking at. TLT, iShares 20-year Treasury Bond ETF. Getting some upside moves on that one. Looking like we got some resistance areas directly above us to kind of keep our eyes on now. Let's get that horizontal drawn out. Is a little bit atom and atom there, but not too clean on that. Let's see what we're looking at on the daily. A little bit of a a higher low. We got those very nice sharp V's here. We'll kind of have to see if we can get above $88.41 as the daily is starting to look a little bit toppy here. Your money flow is starting to come back in, not too unexpected, as people are seeing that increased chance of a rate cut heading our way. Let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at that weekly so we can get a fib hold up here. Might have to zoom out a little bit further. This is finally starting to bottom out here. Still printing, still seeing those lows come in a little bit equal on the weekly. So I would like to see that break from that 88.41. That would really make us have that reversal on those lows, would have that higher low coming on in. Let's get this fib pulled on up from our highs to our low there. 236 was our resistance area. Let's get that as a shorter term time frame one here. We've got our high to our low here. 236 is our area to hold as some support here. Let's get this zoomed back in. Take a look at our hourly here. We're directly above that 236, and we will kind of have to see if we can hold that area. Got a little bit of some bouncing action on the top side of us. 84.41 is going to be that resistance area to watch for here. Your hourly is looking a little bit toppy, not too unexpected after all of this giant movement back towards that 236 and breaking above it. You did see a peak seeker flash before you got above the 236. We did gap that 236, so if you don't hold that 236 after a rejection at resistance, would look to come back and close our gap there. Let's get that zoomed on in so we can actually draw the gap. There we go. We got our very big gap here to come back and close if you don't hold the 236. Let's see what that 15-minute is looking like. See if it's just as toppy. 15-minute just as toppy here, making those higher highs but making lower lows on our MACD. A little bit of a divergence. We'll kind of have to see if we make another lower high on our prime oscillator, because we got several divergences stacked up here after you're making those higher highs, making those lower lows on the prime oscillator. We'll have to see if we start another pattern of some divergences that really push us below that 236. Would wait to see how that price reacts at $88.41 first, as we're flagging out just a little bit here. Make that continued pushback towards the upside, and then see what happens at that price point, because that money flow is barely in the red here, and that slight outflow is leading to some sideways action, holding up quite nicely at those very equal lows at 87.99. All right, that was TLT. Let's take a look at BABA. And we had one last stock request after that, being NNE, and then we will wrap the show on up. Let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at our daily here. We did see that massive sell-off on BABA after some tariff news. Let's see what we're looking at. We are in an uptrend here, making those higher lows, making a little bit of some lower highs here though, so we'll kind of have to see with this price constriction if we can get that break towards the upside. You're seeing a little bit of some curvature there on the daily. Let's get that looked at on the weekly. Getting some sideways momentum on that MACD. We'll kind of have to see how that prime oscillator looks when it loads, but does bode well for a little bit of some pushes towards the upside if you can get that sideways momentum to get that more curvature back towards the upside with some positive money flow that bleeds on over into our higher term time frame there. Let's get these trend lines drawn on out, because we're seeing those very equal, those very nice touches off of that support. We're seeing some very strong resistance coming on in, very nice and constricted, a little bit of some flag in action there. We'll kind of have to see if we can get above there, really turn that into some support. We did have a brief move above that, would be a liquidity grab for those futures market, but other than that, we've respected that support and resistance extremely nicely. Some nice constricting price action, seeing that cool down on the MACD and prime oscillator as well, a little bit more towards the top side. So if we can at least hold this middle area of that as well, 113.50ish, where we see a bunch of that price fluctuations. Those price fluctuations could see that break towards the upside, really turn that into some support, and then break towards the upside with some strength there. Let's see what our resistance areas would be towards the upside on that, and get some horizontal rays drawn out for you. We've got 135 coming in as one of those levels. Let's get that drawn a little bit thicker so you can see it. We've got that next level really coming in here at 145, and that level above that coming in at 148. So those are those three levels to really watch for on the top side. If we are able to break above for the bottom side, we do have a level down here at 95.64. If we break towards the bottom side, that's an area to kind of target. Below that, we have our lows coming in at 82.15. That's an area to keep your eye on for the bottom side. If we break out and go to the actually $80 would be that area to watch for. That's where we got that nice strong bouncing action off of. That'd be a strong support area to watch for there. So a few targets for the top side or the bottom side, depending on which direction you really break out of that triangle there. Let's take a look at NNE, and that'll be our last stock request for the day. NNE and nano nuclear energy. I can't believe I haven't heard of this one. Thank you for that. Gonna add this one to my list real quick, and then we'll dive into that. Let's see, we had here we go. Add symbol NNE. Appreciate that, whoever requested that one. I love my nuclear plays. This one, like most of the other nuclear stocks I've been looking at, is in a nice little uptrend there. We'll have to get our fib extension drawn out. Wrong fib. Let's get that fib extension. We've got our lows to the high to our lows here. Looking like that golden pocket is a resistance area to at least get above. You are seeing that 382 here coming in as our support area. We've got two little bounces off of that, waiting to see if we can get back above the 50% line. That is going to be our resistance area for now. You are seeing that prime oscillator get a little bit of sideways momentum here, but that money flow barely breaking into the red as your volume is extremely low here. Waiting to really see if we can get back above that 50 for that increase of volume and some money flow there. Let's kind of see on a local fib retracement what we're sitting at. We got our lows to our high here, holding that 382. So nice little positive upside bounce there. We do see that 382 on our fib extensions holding as some support. Nice strong bouncing action off of it. Close that gap that we had made there. Let's get that zoomed on in. Let's get that gap drawn out. We had from that candle body to that candle body, we gapped above it. That's quite some crazy price action. Saw that nice little bounce off of the midline there. Ended up coming back, almost closing out the CME gap, but it is left open for now. We are still making those lower highs and some lower lows here, so we'll kind of have to see what kind of price action happens in our CME gap. We still live. Sweet, my earbuds died. Yes sir. I'm finishing out with NNE, and then we're gonna wind that show on down. A nice stock pick for whoever requested it. Nuclear plays, one of my favorites. So we got that nice outflow. Still heading our way here on the hourly. We'll kind of have to see if we can get that switch after a nice CME gap close. The midline is a little bit weak here, as you saw that dip below it on the hourly there. Your nice buying wick coming in below that midline. Please look at Verb. We can do that one as well, and then we will wind the show down. All right, Verb. Got that one added to the list. All right, we got this CME gap here, being that area to really close, as that MACD and prime oscillator are getting a little bit of some sideways momentum. Breaking above our indicator line here, just waiting to really see some money flow coming on in, as your money flow is coming out and that volume is starting to slow up just a bit. So we'll kind of have to see if we can hold this 382 all over again after we close our CME gap here. We're getting a little bit of some bouncing action off the top side of that CME gap right now, but that prime oscillator and MACD getting some rollover here on the 15-minute after that strong bouncing action off of the midline of that CME gap. Looking a little bit toppy here, getting the roll over here and a lower high here on the prime oscillator as well. So looking like momentum is switching back after this giant move towards the upside to continue that downtrend, really hold that CME gap as some support, close it on out, coming in at 34.39 for the bottom side. That would close it on out. That was our resistance area before we got that dip back down. We do have another gap right to the bottom of that as well. So seeing us get that close, might as well close out that other gap as well. That one's going to be coming in at 34.03 for the bottom side. So a few levels to the bottom side to really watch for. I'd really watch for 33.12 to see that very strong bouncing action as we are in that downtrend. Really wait for that reversal switch on money flow and volume all the way through. Volume is holding up quite nicely here on the 15-minute, but your money flow is still in the red. The hourly was still and the red and continuing to come on out there. Your volume was low there, so waiting to see that really switch after we get a little bit lower, hold that as some support. We had Verb requested. All right, let's take a look at Verb Technology Company. Giant green candle, giant gap. Let's get this gap drawn on out. Now, I'm not sure what Verb is, but if you had been buying, you are in the green here. Let's see what we're looking at for that CME gap. And let's get this zoomed on in. Actually, might need to zoom that on out. Take a look at where our fib levels might lie here. Massive little downtrend there. Massive downtrend there. So just a little bit of a scam wiki buy day, I guess. Don't know if there's some news on this that really pushed it towards the upside there, but really looking like you're trying to hold the lows from back here. So let's get that drawn on out. We've got 2307 to hold as we're pulling back extremely close to that level right now. To the top side, we've got $40.47. Let's get that fib drawn out from this to our lows there. Might have to do a different fib. Pull it from a little bit higher, see what we're looking at there. Scam wiki on that weekly. Giant sell wicks. Let's see there. Nope. Let's get a micro fib pulled up here. Let's take a look at the daily, see what we're looking at. Let's see there. We do have that support area to kind of watch for at 2307. Daily is a little bit toppy here after. What's this say about low caps? I mean, they're very similar to some of the altcoins that people talk about all the time. I'm not even sure what this is. Next earning report in 15 days. Volume is 32 million. Market cap is 33.67 million. It says it's a strong buy on technicals, and analyst rating is a strong buy. 1 year price target is $62. Verb Technology engages in platform development. The firm's software as a service platform is based on its proprietary interactive video technology and consists of a suite of sales enablement business software products offered on a subscription basis. So I don't know if they had something crazy come on out, but they got a nice big move towards the upside. We might have to get a shorter term fib really pulled on up here. Hourly seeing that nice strong resistance pulling back above that resistance area that we would have watched for. Let's see what we're looking at from the low there to our high there. Seeing that 382 get a little bit of some bounce in action would be something to watch for. It was a resistance area from here. We saw that very big selling wick come on out, got that bounce off the golden pocket, and then continued towards the upside there. We are below the 236. We got that support running in the middle of it. All these overbought signals flashing. Kind of really hard to tell on this one. Let's see what we're looking at on the 15 minute extremely toppy as well. Money flow still in the green though, so seeing some bounce in action off of that 236. No puts. I mean, depends on the time frame of your put. Could see it come all the way back down to the 50. Would be a nice little sell-off point to really watch for. 15 minute just starting on that slowdown. You got that lower push on some money flow. Very equal highs though, so that's why I'd look 382 first, back towards our upside, and then see if we can get that push a little bit lower there. So maybe a call back down at that 382 and 21.55 if we break below $23.07. Just broke below $23.07 there. So looking for that 382, see a little bit of some bouncing action there. If not, that 50% would be that area to really watch for. But with how that money flow is looking, getting a little bit of some curvature back towards the upside. Let's see how that 1 minute is looking. 1 minute money flow is barely in the red here, so making some lower lows, lower highs as well, flagging out just a little bit. Could continue towards the upside off of that. Really trying to hold that 2307 as you're seeing that buying wick stepping on in all over again. So yeah, ooh, equal highs, call options, let's go. Yeah, see, I would look back up if you hold 2307 or the 236 there, as that 236 as the 2307 does look a little bit weak. Yeah, you see that break below, but you're pushing right back up to it right now. That 382, $21.54 would be that real area I would look for that bouncing action off of, and then you would see that price target being up around 29.85. I would call it a little bit short though. Let's see where those very equal candle wicks, 28.37, just to front run anything. If we do get that push back towards the upside, that would be where I would target. Everyone go back to work or something. Chat died. Probably. I think Jesse had to go, and then everyone's probably lurking. So yeah, we still got 11 viewers here, and we've got 50 people over on X. So I appreciate everyone tuning on in. It was a little bit of a longer show, did an hour and a half there. Voice is a little bit sore now, so Trade Intuition here says he's lurking, doing stuff in the background, so I appreciate you lurking in the background. Alexandra G saying she's here as well. I appreciate y'all sticking out through the whole show, and the 49 viewers on X. I appreciate every single one of you. Hope you end up joining that Hyper Academy Discord. YouTube membership gets you full access. We got a lot going on over there. Definitely should check out Lunar Beach's Crypto as well. We'll be doing some shows together going forward. Been talking a lot in the background about getting a new weekend show for y'all, so hope to see y'all there. We also got Hot of the Line with me, Crypto Coin Mindset, and Crypto Bedell on X, on Crypto Bedell's channel and Crypto Coin Mindset's channel tonight at 7 p.m. Appreciate you dropping that link in the chat, Alexander G. Until then, we will see ya at Good Morning Crypto on the next one. And Radical Crypto Show, let's effing go, says Lunar Beach's Crypto. Yes, we will get that going for you soon. Me and LBC back, the dynamic duo. Until then, I will see y'all here at the next one on Hot of the Line or Good Morning Crypto, or if you don't tune into those, I'll see you back here at Wall Street Weekly. Appreciate ya showing up.
This is Wall Street Weekly with BC PortCorp. Listen deeply, charts bleed reality. Green mixed with red, every ticker got a story, every dollar got a thread. Profits speak softly, losses scream loud. Bull markets whisper but the bears roar proud. Investing's more than digits, it's decoding minds. Patterns in the chaos, treasures you can find. Eyes wide open, stay sharp and precise, cause easy money's myth, truth comes with a price. Watch the money flow, truth hidden in disguise. Risk what you know, wealth favors the wise. If you ain't thinking deeper than your pockets leak weekly, get your mind right.
BC PortCorp. We making sense of the madness. Truth in the numbers. Clarity from the vastness.